Thank you again for joining us in this morning's event, and special thanks to all of our guest speakers. What a great morning of information, experience, and knowledge sharing. When we planned this year's Insight event, our number one goal was to make sure that this is as informative and helpful to you, our clients, associates, and friends of the firm. And I certainly hope that we are able to achieve that objective. This pandemic has made me realize how many things are really outside of our control, and that we are now in an era that is characterized by many more uncertainties and exponential change that is causing tremendous disruption in our businesses as well as our everyday lives. Speaking of change, I don't know about you, I think you would all agree that the changes that we have experienced these past 5 months would have been the equivalent of years in our past normal. This is now our new reality. It goes without saying that we're experiencing something that is unprecedented. I don't know that anybody can say that they've been in this situation before. What is really most revealing is how this pandemic and the resulting economic downturn have touched differently depending on what sector, demographics, location you might be. What I mean by that is that if you look across the nation right now, or across the world, certain sectors are actually doing better than others. So we've talked about some of our guests even today, where some of them might be in an essential business. E-commerce is doing really well, technology, and of course, essential businesses are thriving and even growing, whereas those that are hard hit include the hospitality business, the brick and mortar stores are also hurting right now, and oil and gas in particular, given that we are in Texas. And so it's really interesting how it changes depending on where you are. Even from a location perspective, we see a bigger impact for urban areas versus rural areas. And so it's just a very different environment that we're having to deal with. And so as we continue to face economic uncertainty, I realize that it's really hard to remain positive and see the opportunities and silver linings, because we don't know what the future is going to look like. I hope that today's discussion, including the ones that covered future of work that Harry Mosley had presented, would help you in rethinking and reimagining what the future might look like, and also learn from the experiences of others that shared their story about opportunities and how they pivoted and how they changed really their business or expanded their business to respond to this crisis. One thing that I've had a lot of time to think about given the past 5 months is this notion of uncertainty. I ask myself sometimes, are there certainties in this uncertain world that's very unpredictable? And in listening to our speakers today, I'm even more convinced that there really are some things that if we were to keep our eye on them might help us navigate through these difficult times. So I'll start with one that is very near and dear to me. For those of you that attended the Reimagining the Workplace, Sandy actually talked about this. I believe that one thing that is certain and constant is our purpose. And whether that is our organizational purpose or our individual purpose, our why. What is our why? What is it that keeps us going? What is our mission? And I think in this environment, there is no better time to reconnect, to rediscover, and to re-energize the purpose that we have, and then make that be the touchstone, make that be the cornerstone for how we respond to the crisis. The second thing that I think is certain is our people. Our people are drivers of the success of our business. It doesn't matter what type of business, and that was validated by all our speakers today. Investing in our people, like Harry Mosley had said, yields a tremendous amount of return. And so this is the time for us to provide the psychological safety, provide the environment where they can also determine and detect their purpose so that they can make an impact, because it truly is a challenging environment for our employees right now. So the other thing that is fairly constant as well, and I think we've seen this really happen in the past 5 months, is technology and innovation. Many of the companies that we've heard from today leverage technology and innovation in order to pivot, in order to respond to the challenges. And so the notion now of investing in technology becomes a given. that is not going to change. If anything, that pace is going to be more rapid because it's just one of those situations where we got to keep agile and we got to keep learning and we got to keep utilizing new sources of innovation to do our work better and smarter. And then finally, having lived through this in our firm, regulations and legislations, I think, are also a certainty. And those carry risks for business owners and for leaders of firms. And that's something that we have to stay on top of. We have seen so many legislations that came out that benefited really a lot of businesses, including the PPP program, a lot of tax incentives. In the same token, we're also seeing some legislations that is focused on looking at liability that could potentially be a risk for certain businesses depending on where you sit and what sector you're in. And so really, in looking at those certainties that I feel are truly something that we can count on, we need to be able to navigate through that. And the stages that I have been sort of put in buckets in terms of this crisis is, first stage would be the response stage. Second stage would be the recover stage. And then finally, we have the reimagine stage. So when we started in March, for instance, all of the things that we did in the firm was really focused on protecting the business and making sure that we have continuity. That to me is the response stage. And given that, we needed to then be responsive and agile and flexible and had to revisit our organizational purpose. And then invested in our people because we had to convert our people to remote work environment in a few days and in the middle of our busy season. And that's where the technology came in to help us really make that shift seamless and effective so that we can continue to service our clients given those deadlines that they were facing as well. And then finally, we were able to also then assist our clients to be able to address the new legislation that came out, specifically around the incentives, which really renewed our purpose and our mission and gave our staff so much energy and so much purpose in terms of knowing that they're making a difference in our clients' businesses. And so I talk about that because I think for all of us, we all are going through that same journey together. When we did our response, when we were in the response stage in March, for example, our main focus was protecting the livelihood of our 320 plus employees and while continuing to exceed our clients' expectations. And then getting into a new rhythm when we were in that environment for a month or so, we found our stride and started to become much more in the recovery phase of thinking through and responding to the unpredictability and uncertainty that we were facing. I'd like to think that today, as I sit here sharing our story with you, we're in the reimagine stage. And one thing that Harry had talked about earlier that resonated with me was also the word evolution, because we talk a lot about the new normal. But the reality of it is, for me, I don't know what that looks like. To me, that's an ever-evolving concept. And so I like to think about it more from an evolving normalcy perspective, which requires us to really be flexible and pivot, and in some cases, take risks and make decisions with very little information, with the thought that you can always course correct, when you find that maybe that's not the right answer. So in reimagining, we're evaluating future work. What would that look like? We're redefining how we're delivering our services. We're automating more and looking for ways to leverage technology so that we can better serve our clients, and also identifying new opportunities, as we have heard from many of our speakers today. Since I took over as managing partner and CEO of Briggs Veselka 2 years ago, my main responsibility was really change management. And that is something that I focused on because our firm has experienced rapid growth in the past decade. And I know that we have members of the audience that have been with us from the very beginning, and we are a 47-year-old firm. When Johnny Veselka started the firm in 1973 with a handful of people, and at last count, we are over 320 people right now with offices across Texas, including Austin, the Woodlands and El Campo. So this crisis truly has brought an unexpected silver lining, because it accelerated the changes that we already knew we needed to implement to achieve sustainability. And what I thought would take a number of years to make happen, because we are a much larger organization. And so when you're trying to move a ship, so to speak, it's a lot harder to do a realignment when you're bigger. But the past 5 months have proven to be just an accelerated pace of adopting change. And it also changed the mindset of our associates and our partners in understanding that, yes, we can do remote work effectively. And yes, we can service clients even in this environment while holding people accountable and giving them a sense of purpose. And so what we've done is we've implemented technology. You've heard me say earlier, we've adopted Zoom last year. It was actually a move towards a huge change for us, because when we were looking to change our phone system, we got rid of handheld of the phone desk phones, which is a big shift. But really looking back, it was the right call for us. We also built our infrastructure, including people, systems, and processes to support our growth goals. Worked on being an employer of choice, focused on our people first, and increasing our brand awareness, as well as expanding our service offerings to better serve you, our clients. And so since the crisis started, we have upgraded our IT infrastructure. We have even this example of our B&B Insights going remote is a shift for us, because we've never done a webinar until the crisis started, and we have now reached thousands of our clients. And so it really has been an interesting 5 months, learned a lot from this process. And so I really just wanted to share that with you, because in many ways, what I've heard today is we share the same journey. We may be in a different path. We may be in different stages in that journey, but we are here. Briggs Veselka is here as your partner, as your trusted advisor. And I certainly hope that you had gotten a lot out of today's session. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of your providers, your members of the team that's working with you. Check out our website as well. All of the sessions today have been recorded. So if you missed any of the sessions, you can still catch up. That is on demand. So at your convenience, feel free to check those out. I want to thank again our distinguished panel of speakers. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experiences. I learned so much today personally, and I wish you all a great day and stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much.